Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the UD6 happening live in France. I'm with Mythical as always. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Twin. Thank you so much for asking. We are 5 games in, and we got 5 more left to play. And they've done a great job of keeping it close through 5 games. You know, it's very hard to stay consistent in this sort of environment. This is one of the closest UDs that we've seen. Am I right about that?
Yeah, this is crazy. We've seen a lot of finals like that during like the previous seasons, and keeping it so consistent and having so close of races is just a blast. To be honest, those are the best races, and seeing it happening like back to back. We had to re-go through the 5 first game that happened yesterday this morning because we could not remember exactly how well it went for all the players.
It was all a blur.
Yeah, it's great. We all have it live in the theater here. We have the audience in front of us that's cheering, and like the players are coming. So yesterday night we closed the first stream with Devil Tifa and Brotherman giving us a few words on the first day, and we are starting the day with Super Lingard that's coming towards us, and he'll be here to answer all of your questions.
Hello. Hi, how are you doing?
Comment ça va?
Ça va, très bien.
He is doing very well.
Good, good. I want to, loosen things up. Start with something easy. Who is your favorite Zelda helper character, and why is it Midna?
Donc pour commencer facile, c'est qui ton personnage secondaire préféré de Zelda et pourquoi c'est Midna?
Personnage secondaire de Zelda, c'est Ganondorf.
Ganondorf.
He's going like straight to. I said like secondary character and not straight helper. I could not find the word in French. Assistant.
Navi,
assistant,
Midna.
Navi, Midna.
Ah, l'assistant.
Oui.
Yeah.
Ah, l'assistant, c'est Navi.
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 Bold choice. All right, let's talk a little bit. We didn't get to talk to you about yesterday until before it happened. So tell us about how you think yesterday went for you.
On n'a pas pu parler depuis hier, donc il faut que tu nous dises comment ça s'est passé hier pour toi.
Ah bah hier c'était bien dans la globalité, mais bon sur Azamu j'ai un peu traîné sur le premier niveau, donc ce qui m'a fait perdre quand même beaucoup de points par rapport aux autres, d'où mes 30 points de retard par rapport aux autres.
Overall, great, except for Story About My Uncle, which mostly explains the 30 points difference between all 3 others.
I want to. You had a very positive attitude there. That's good. Can you think of something that happened that you were particularly proud of, particularly happy how well it went?
Est-ce que tu peux nous dire un truc qui s'est passé particulièrement bien, dont tu es fier de comment ça s'est bien passé?
Oui, je suis fier dans la globalité de mes jeux. Les 4 autres jeux, c'était très bien. J'ai fait 2 PB Race, donc notamment sur Cuphead et sur le dernier jeu Shovel Knight. Voilà. Donc très bien.
PB races on both Cuphead and Shovel Knight, so those 2 come to mind. But overall, except for Story About My Uncle, the full races went well.
All right. So I think you're in the perfect position. You're 20, 30 points back. This is the underdog position. You're well positioned for a comeback here. I think the crowd's going to be on your side. And how do you feel about being in that position?
T'es dans la meilleure position parce que t'es l'underdog maintenant, mais t'es pas trop loin. Du coup, la foule va être pour toi, le public va être en délire, mais aussi t'es quand même en position de revenir vraiment. Comment tu te sens par rapport à ça?
Bah, pour moi, ça va être très compliqué parce que c'est les jeux où ils sont les plus performants, donc mes adversaires. Donc ça va être vraiment très compliqué, mais je vais tout donner et je vais m'amuser, c'est ça l'essentiel.
It's good to be the underdog, but the other 3 are so good for the upcoming 5 games that it's pretty tough to be like feeling well. But Super Lingard is coming just for fun and do his best overall anyway, like the other 3. So we'll see what happens.
All right. DKC and Inertia, 2 of the games we're going to be playing today. I think these were PBs for you in the grand finals. Are these games you're looking forward to, maybe picking up some points on? Or do they always make you nervous?
Ta PB sur Inertia et DKC à la grande finale. Est-ce que du coup tu es confiant et tu vas essayer de refaire la même chose, ou au contraire est-ce que ça te rend nerveux d'avoir cette pression là en plus?
Alors, Inertia, je le sens pas du tout. Mais Décassé, c'est un jeu que j'adore, donc potentiellement, c'est possible de faire un gros PB. Mais on ne sait pas. Enfin, je sais pas.
Inertia, very difficult to tell. It doesn't feel so great because of the setup. It's not the usual, so I feel super not confident about that. DKC, it's one of his favorite games. God loves DKC, so obviously he's waiting to play DKC, and we'll see. It's pretty much like wait and see at that point for all games. C'est en gros, tu vas voir ce qui se passe à tous les jeux. Quel est ton objectif final en termes de points? What's your final score?
Si je fais 1900, c'est très bien.
1900 is good. Okay.
All right, a bold prediction. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us. Best of luck in the final 5 games.
Merci beaucoup d'être venu nous parler et bonne chance pour les 5 prochains jeux.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much. So next up is Mel West. As the interview starts, we are going to take a look at the current state of the leaderboard on screen, so we can see like how well all the runners are doing. Hey Mel West, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing better than yesterday.
Yeah?
I think the break will help me because I was really down yesterday at the end of the 5 games.
Sure, I'll bet. Yeah. There was some troubles happened.
Yeah.
Controller issues, so it's good to get those behind you. I think a lot of players were happy for a break after Shovel Knight all around. So we can go ahead and take a look at the leaderboard to see where you and everyone else stands. You're, I think,
16 behind
16 behind the leader right now. You've got some strong games today. I mean, you're pretty strong on all the games. Everyone's pretty strong on all the games, but especially, you've got Inertia in particular. Do you feel good about starting to maybe make up that gap over these last 5 games?
I have better PBs, but in race, it won't happen like when I grind. It will be really hard. I don't think I'm the
favorite,
favorite in Inertia, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, Superlink God did put up a really good race in the grand finals, so we'll see how that goes. We took there was the leaderboard there for a little bit, but we know the 16 points away. So you are a player. I think of you as someone who goes for a lot of very difficult strats. Players have to choose what kind of strats they go for in the UD, what they put their practice time towards. So why do you go for the really, really advanced stuff? Are you just kind of relying on your execution, or is there something else driving you to go for those kinds of strats?
I usually learn this strats because I think I can, and mostly for the grind and PBs. So in race I change some strats because I don't think consistent enough. I'm consistent enough, and we'll see what happens.
That's something I love about the way you do speedrun, is that you
changed.
go for the higher tier stuff, and with the UDs you learn how to tune it down and realize how good or bad you were on some strats, and we saw that happen even in UD6. You're like, everybody kinda tune it down on some strat, like the jump roll in DKC, like some strat nobody is going for. But in your case, it's even more. It's obvious, like it shows, and you show confidence in doing different strats, and that's something like all the viewers will relate with, like seeing how good you are at knowing yourself. Yeah, it's not a question. It's just
not
like
a question.
It's not a question, but it's obvious, and I feel like you should know
thanks.
that.
All right, I think that's going to do it for our interview. You've got 5 games to play. We wish you the best of luck. Thanks for coming to talk to us.
And have fun.
We will.
Yeah, obviously it's going to be very good to see like everybody racing those 5 games. So we are going to go through The End Is Nigh, Inertia, DKC, Spectrable, and end the day with Eye of Sorrow. No one talked about that game during like the interview, neither Superlink God and Mel West, but to me, it's one of the most technical games. Like you have some very specific inputs to put there, so from time to times, and this is the most frightening for me for those guys, I think.
Yeah, well, if you're worried, imagine them.
Yeah.
Devil Tifa in particular was pretty nervous about the RNG manipulations involved in Aria of Sorrow. And I honestly think everyone is very worried about inertia. It was the one thing I saw everyone practicing, even though it was not our first game today. When Cuphead was the first game, everyone was practicing Cuphead because they wanted to make sure it was all set up. But everyone got every last second of inertia practice that they could, because I think it is one of the games where the different setup, the different mouse pad, your chair, the different height, these things kind of make the most impact. So it's definitely going to be a big concern. Mel West even admitted, I have the best PB, but it's totally different when you are racing. So I think more so than Aria of Sorrow, I'm more concerned about how that goes for the players. But honestly, I just can't wait to see how it's all going to shake out.
Yeah, for sure. We probably have the time to, just before the race starts, take a look at some player cards. We are going to start with Mel West, that we just heard. He is very good at all 5 games. He said it, like, my PBs are super strong on all 5 games we are playing today. The player cards show that, and it's pretty cool to admit for him that, it's just PB, and what happens in a race is not necessarily what we can do during a PB. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
I think it says a lot about your ability as a racer to be able to recognize those kinds of distinctions. And it says a lot about him as a person to admit it here on camera on a big stage.
Yeah, it is. Super Lingard change outfit for today. I don't know. I want to ask, but maybe he wants to feel as comfortable as he can for today, because he said it. The games are not like, and
we have something special planned. We got us looking at the leaderboards, so now you can see us glancing down at our fancy
should we
monitor.
Look up and not see the leaderboard ourselves?
We'll look at the camera and then just eyes down.
Yeah.
You really, head, eyes. It's very important to get it aligned, but this is good. We can take a look at these. Basically, what I want to point out here is the shades of colors. The darker it is, the stronger a time it is. And that really dark, menacing black is a sign of a 200-point plus run. And so we saw Trials went great for everyone. We saw Cuphead went particularly great for Brother Main and pretty darn good for Super Lingard. But I think the one that stands out with that 4 or 5 minute gap is that Shovel Knight time by Devil Tifa, kind of the huge thing that happened yesterday.
Yeah, so just before Shovel Knight, first was Brother Main, second Mel West, and third Devil Tifa. And he just got that huge run, almost never dying, or maybe never dying, while everybody kind of struggled on the game, and the sub 50 happening live right now is huge for them. It's probably one of the best race time and best races we've seen for Shovel Knight. Mel West needed that 200 points for having all the achievement on his player cards. You have the tiny golden badges, and he just misses that 200 on Shovel Knight, which is impossible to get. So it is a huge accomplishment, and we can see that it's only halfway through. We have the second half to go through, and anything can happen, I think.
Yeah, we've always dreamed of the 2,000-point run through the decathlon. I thought about asking Mel West when he was here, but I didn't want to set any weird expectations, especially because he seems so grounded here. When we talk to him, he just brings me down to earth. It's really cool to see. But now that he's gone, we can dream. We can dream. Spectre Ball is a game where players can pick up a lot of extra points, but it's not so easy to get to even 200, let alone over 200 from this point. So I really think we'll be hard-pressed to see it. But certainly the 1900, and even Super Link got in 4th place, confident at getting the 1900. So we could see some players get some really high scores. We could see some players start to approach some of the top scores that Mel West posted, grand finals in October. I can't wait to see how it goes. It's just a treat looking at how close those final numbers are after 5 games.
Yeah, do you remember how tiny 1 point is? Usually it's 3 seconds for a point or 6 seconds for a point. So just a 10-point difference just means you have to get like a minute over 10 games. There's 5 games in this case, so it's pretty doable. Like, it's actually easy. Just one death in DKC.
Easy.
Gang playing Galleon will smash you like 30 points, so it goes super fast. So you have, if you're in first place, it doesn't mean like you're safe for many games. Maybe you can have 1 or 2 games, but look how Brother Main, he was 25 points ahead after game 2. You could say like that's huge, and is still not in first place at the end of the first day. So yeah, the game is going to start, and the end was a treat for the entire seasons. It's a very tight and dense platformer, very well done. I actually contacted the Tyler Guile, the dev for the game, and said like, this is super cool, you're going to like it, and I hope you can like take a peek at someday, like to see what those guys are doing with the game.
Yeah, it is a precision platformer. It has been something where any player who really likes to go for all the little things, you know, catching half seconds even here and there all over the place, has excelled at this game. And you know, it's generally been the one where we've seen some of the most even matches of the UD. So I think that's also going to be the case here. Everyone is pretty closely matched. Though Brother Main had a very, very strong run in the grand finals. He started off with like an early death, and we were like, oh no, he lost some time. And then everything after that was phenomenal. And you can see he's got the best PB here by, I don't know, 30 seconds or so over some of our competitors. Overall, quite close. And it should still remain to be one of our most exciting games of the bunch. Certainly, they're all pretty exciting, but in terms of closeness of races, this could be it.
Super Lingard, the underdog for that game as well. His strengths are coming, but for it's not going the best start of the day. So please, in chat, like cheer for Super Lingard. Mel West and Devil Tifa are evenly matched. Like, it's incredible how close. Like, the finish on both Metal Slug and Trials are seconds, like between the two of the players. Like, Trials to end was, I still remember exactly the moves, and they got both stuck on the same jump. And like, so 20-21 PB for both of those players, and Brother Main has the edge by 29 seconds, so it's pretty crazy.
You can see all the players here get an idea for where they're at. Mel West is eyes closed, focusing. Super Lingard with that rather intense stare. Brother Main as well, also focusing. And Devil Tifa a little laid back, kind of looking around a bit. He's feeling pretty good about things. You can take a look at sort of a nice little ghostly image of the players here haunting the games, haunting this wasteland. 2-1, go! The wasteland that is the end, an appropriate name for the start of a game.
So fake computer crashes. Ash, the character, cannot play his cartridge anymore, so you have to go through the world now and start exploring. And here we go. First world, as you said, is named The End. And it introduces all the mechanics, so the you don't have the wall jump, but you have the tiny hook you can grab onto. You have jump, obviously, there's no run button, but there's a fast fall button, and this is going to be the most intricate and important mechanic of the entire game, and of the entire run.
Yeah, this anytime you are climbing or platforming vertically, there is almost always going to be an opportunity to fast fall, to land on whatever is the next platform just a little faster. And timing your fast fall is incredibly important. You know, the later you wait to use it, the more time you lose. But if you're too early on it, you're going to fast fall before you land on whatever you're aiming for, and that's obviously much worse. So there are frames to be shaved all over the place. Fast falling while moving off a ledge will also let you catch it as you walk over the side. You'll see the players intentionally grabbing a lot of ledges, and it's because jumping off of a ledge gives you a sort of horizontal jump that gives you a pretty significant speed boost. There are a lot of cases where you can save little half seconds here and there. Adds up pretty quick with some of these extra jumps that the players are doing. But really, it's about death avoidance, really. I think each death won't cost too much, but it's very hard to die and then come back immediately ready to platform again. Yeah. Likely you're going to need a second to readjust. So, you know, we usually see one death lead to another, maybe two. So that is going to be the name of the game. Everyone's done great so far. Not too many deaths usually in the end, but we're starting to kick things up with the next area here.
Brother Main started last at the Arid Flats, and SPB that actually happened live during the Grand Finals, the 1950 we brought up on screen. Actually had a shaky start as well. Like, he is not necessarily the most confident player on the first three worlds, and then catches back up during like the actually harder world, which is a weird pattern, but I think we are going to witness that again. Devil Tifa and Mel West in the same room, pretty close together, Super Lingard as well, and this is, as you said, like we expect to have like very close race between Look Melwest and Devil Tifa are close together. This is upcoming. We have a nice secret we are going to use to move like a little bit faster. The world is connected between screens, and you don't necessarily have to go like linearly from 1 to 20 in each world. Except for that, the game is pretty similarly built to any like modern platformer. You just try to move ahead as fast as possible, and deaths are not like punished by a live system or anything in this specific category.
Crowd cheering a little bit for that little jump there by Melwest, flirting with death with some of those tumbleweeds. You can see him bouncing off of that, I guess it's like a frog or something, but it's got a skull on it, and that means you can bounce on it. That will be important in a little bit. Here is the secret in Arid Flat 17 coming back onto the screen. This little thing will lower down, and that's not the hard part. The hard part is this screen right here. There is a left-right input basically right there to land, and we've seen players get hung up on that quite a bit. So Melwest through first try. Super Link God also through first try. We'll see how it goes. Devil Tifa, first try. These guys are having no problem. Brother Main going to make it 4. Yes, he is.
Yeah, those players are very good, as we were telling you. Like they're showing they know the game very, very well. They played during the entire season that started last April, and it is not the first time they're racing the Andes Night, but it is the first time they're doing it live in front of an audience, and that might get scary on some specific screens. I think especially during SS Exodus and the Machine, probably the two hardest worlds. Mel was taking a tiny death here to the Skull Frog thingy. I'm not sure what the enemies are, but as you said, Skull, you can bounce of it. Very important, indeed.
Got some more bounces here. Super Link having a bit of trouble. Got enough height to catch a ledge, and I don't think he realized he did. So he dropped off of it and was unable to make it happen. So he drops back a little bit as well, and that means he is going to get much closer to some of these other players. They were Brother Main is kind of coming right. Brother Main is ahead of him by just a little bit, but he gets hung up on some of these swimming sections. If you come into a swimming section with the extra speed off of jumping off a wall, you can maintain it through the water, and it makes quite a bit of difference. But if you touch anything, you're going to lose that speed, and it's probably going to mess you up pretty good. Brown water will flash 3 times, and then after the third one, you will die. So that's the same is true of this noxious fog here, and keep that in mind as the players move. They will be kind of taking certain routes through rooms to kind of naturally make sure that they will find some fresh air at some point, but it's still a concern, especially with some of those swimming sections, that they're all pretty much done with in overflow. They're moving on to pretty soon to the split, and things are going to sort of get kicked up in difficulty a little bit from there.
Yeah, things get serious in the split. Every player is going to follow the same route, although it's not mandatory. It's just easier to follow, and usually the community does that order to grind because it gets it's the most comfortable order to go through. First the Wall of Sorrow and SS Exodus, which have the most difficult and punitive tricks. So you'd rather reset early if you were to reset. So we have those waiting sections and cycles, and with smart use of fast fold, you can actually skip some cycles, especially in this screen. Very, very tough one. You have to sneak under and right here, and that actually saves a lot of time. And it is not that easy. You have to grab those hooks with the fast fall and move on. No problem for Melwest. Super Link God, Brother Main, and Devil Tifa are going to do the same. It is still pretty close, and Super Link God, just following a few meters behind that entire screen, and that's it. So this, as you said, it's not going to be the most points lost or won during the Andes Night, but you have to keep it going, and this is a scary game. A lot of people died already, and everybody's trying to move as fast as they can, especially with the upcoming birds. Melwest riding the first bird nicely. Second set of birds is like a 2-bird level. Melwest has the most fantastic strat and reverted to actually a safer one for this specific race. I don't know if it's because of the Ultimate Final and it shows long time ahead to go for that, or if he reacted quickly enough to the section.
I'm not sure. Devil Tifa also had a bit of trouble. He's going to bail on that strategy. That's pretty much what everyone seems to do. It is incredibly hard.
Wow.
Wow, nice job adjusting. You can, if you bail out at the... Wow, nice job on that one. He goes too high, showing off
level.
one of the secret areas, many of secret areas in this game. We saw one, you used it as a shortcut. That one, however, not so much for Devil Tifa, but nice job dealing with those birds. More birds here for both Brother Main and Devil Tifa on the bottom half of the screen. Not quite getting the ride. Brother Main so close, but is going to get trapped here at the bottom. And they are now in a bad position, so he is being very cautious. Nice job dealing with that.
He did, like, I don't know how he dodged all those birds. Those enemies are actually like pretty insane with how they move. Melwest is almost done with the world. He's going to get to SS Exodus shortly. You know, you have to know exactly how to dodge those noxious fumes. And here we go to SS Exodus. You'll see the runners do a quick reset here and use the map to respawn as fast as possible, because the elevator he's using right here is kind of slow. So here we go, and we're on to the fifth world here with like very Mario Brothers 3 fortress theme with all those cannonballs that you can bounce off and use them as a shortcut like he's doing right here. Very, very nicely done without even setting up. I feel like it just went for it immediately.
Yeah, this is, you know, we talk about how nailing tricks and stuff is important, and then kind of the next level is flowing from one trick to the other. And that's something we haven't really seen too much of in this game, in particular in that room. So Melwest is looking very strong. This has been a pretty bad room for some players. Something about it, basically if you get hung up even a little bit and then you try to go, there's probably a shot that's in a place that you're not ready for and is going to catch you. Looks like everyone else is through those tricky cannonball sections as well. Devil Tifa is getting the little bit of extra height he needs. Super Link God as well, breaking through, and they're chasing behind Brother Main, who has passed them by just a tiny little bit, certainly in the same room, but all three still trailing Melwest, who has a 2-room lead. You can take a look at the bottom right of your screen to see the level that they're on. It's not as much help in some of these later levels, especially the Exodus with some of the skips they're doing. It's going to jump around a little bit.
God making the skip and Devil Tifa failing it here. So, and Brother Main is going to go for it as well and gets it. Devil Tifa has to wait and falls behind by quite a lot. Once again, it's a lot comparing how, like, due to all the runners being so close, but it's not too much actually. Like every time one runner fails or dies, it feels like it's the end of the world, but actually it's not. It's not that terrible. It's pretty normal in such a game. Melwest is moving through like crazy. The speed he's going at is insane. That screen can be pretty difficult, and he did not get the bounce of the bouncer here that he wanted. You have to keep the jump button pressed, but it went weird for them apparently. Final like tiny skip here, and that screen is one of the few that killed a lot of players as well. But Melwest is doing a great job at skipping or dodging all those shots, and we're almost done with World 5 here. Oh no! Wow, that totally caught me by surprise. Like.
Yeah, the spikes are usually much worse. Yeah. But once you get up top, you're jumping over the bullets 2 by 2. It's pretty straightforward, but you know, something had to get him apparently. Nice job with the cannonballs over the cliff to finish off the Exodus. He's going to get the first part of the friend. We are going to be doing the friend percent. I don't know if that's I don't know if they use the percent category for the category, but you are making a friend here. There is a little bit more to the game. But this game has been sort of slotted into the sort of medium difficulty sort of game for the Ultime Decathlon. So that's the category we're doing. There's 3 parts of the friend that need to be made, and that was the first there. The head obtained now for Super Link God in the top right, Brother Main in second, Devil Tifa just behind. All 4 players rather, in retrograde now. And pretty tricky stuff for Brother Main and Devil Tifa. Fast fall being used here to get through for Devil Tifa. Brother Main, he's able.
Got caught.
Wow, he knew that he was not going to make it, but he was able to adjust and save himself. That is very cool to see. Obviously, you want to get the trick right. Another scary room for Melwest. He's through. This has been some pretty solid retrograde.
Many different strats here, but if you are doing like the building from directly the pillar, you have to fast fall on the block, because if you catch the ledge of a falling block, Kremlin block, and you directly try to jump onto it, it's going to crumble before you land. But if you fast fall onto it, it's going to be just barely alright. Retrograde is one of those worlds where you have to remember exactly the sequence of the level, because a lot of levels starts with jump or start immediately in the air to get optimal movement. So you have to remember exactly what's going on, and sometimes a player will be caught off guard and actually will forget to jump and have to reset and go back to the previous screen. So that the death can be a little bit more costly in retrograde, but so far nobody is dying too much. Superlingard going for the easier strat on that crumbling block tower, and everybody is moving on pretty quickly, but Melwest is already in the machine.
He is a machine at this point. He is playing very well today, and he's going to need to continue to play well, because the machine, I think, is probably the toughest zone of all of the zones in this game that we'll be playing. It has a lot of guns for one, and particularly in Machine 20, I think it is. You'll see the meanest gun that ever existed. It also has these anti-gravity tractor beam things, very weird. But the players are going to be using a little glitch to kind of get some extra height jumping out of them, so that makes them a little easier to deal with. In one of these rooms here where he's going to get this key, this starts a backtracking section. And any room here where you need to get something and then backtrack out generally is pretty long. This one has a nice fall there through the bullets, nicely well done. So it's not so bad. Nice job readjusting.
Nice reaction. The players know exactly what height it should be at every moment, and we've seen a lot of good movement and anticipation in reaction to some of the jump that did not go so well for them. A very long room here. I'm always a little bit scared because you have to go through those 3 different corridors and get exactly what you want to keep on moving. Those spikes, those tiny jumps, you have to be careful, and Melwest does a good job at that. Devil Tifa, Brother Main are doing the backtracking from room 6, but Melwest is already about 5 rooms ahead. Those are not long rooms, but it says a lot, I feel.
Yeah, this is he's done a really good job of building a lead. Dies right at the end of the level, so he is going to lose a fair bit of time in level where you go along the bottom and the wall and the top. Generally is a pretty longer level. Each individual death doesn't cost too much in this game, but that is going to start to make a difference. We'll see how the rooms go for these other players. Brother Main having a bit of trouble picking up that little chip that opens the door. He's going to be able to backtrack now. Devil Tifa has pulled ahead by just a little bit. Super Linkard also trailing by just a little bit, but still Melwest way out in front is in another section here waiting blocks as they flicker back and forth. We saw some Mega Man 2 in the pre-show, so we're seeing some of the Yoku blocks. We're missing that lovely sound effect though, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, this is something someone needs to mod in the Andisna. It's a boop, boop, each time a block appears. Do remember, Melwest is currently third by not much. He set it 16 points, and with the game going at 6 seconds per point, like the Andisna, that means it's less than 2 minutes, and he is building a nice lead. It's going to tough to build a 2-minute lead on the Andisna, but it's going exactly that like it should for them right now. Devil Tifa going through those back and forth room, and Superlingard is just a little bit behind, but Devil Tifa ahead of Brother Main. That's very huge for them because they're first currently and Brother Main is second, so the most point they can put between Brother Main and Devil Tifa, the better is going to be for Devil Tifa, so we'll see how that goes. We are almost at the end of the machine, and the upcoming mean machine gun is upon us.
Yeah, just a little bit here to go. Melwest nabbing the key and dropping down. Look how fast this thing shoots. Even if you're being very consistent, it can still get you. So he actually dips to the right there to sort of make it track to the right, and that will give you the breathing room you need to get past that room. An extra loop required to get the thing that opens the way, but he does get through without dying, and that is pretty important. Coming up on the end of the machine now, there is the heart, I think it is.
Soul?
I don't know. It is important. It's part of the thing. We got it. We can move on.
Don't get a heartless friend. You need someone that can love you. So onto the Holos, one of the easiest worlds. It's not easy, but it's easier than the machine, and the main theme is it's all in dark, and there's a lot of secrets, a lot of moving walls that you have to reveal, but once you know exactly what's the way to clear the level, it gets easier, less puzzly. You have to do and pay close attention to those moving enemies though. Be sure to know how to break those blocks and know the cycle here. Melwest is just not stopping. It's way obviously easier to wait for movement before you keep on moving, but that would be too slow. No time to waste anywhere here for the runners.
It does help to have your gamma a little up, but you're actually seeing a pretty big difference from Brother Main when some of the really glowy things are taking up the stage. It's just kind of a shade of blue cast over the whole thing. But yeah, it does help to be able to see exactly where these things are, even if they're going to be doing the same things at the same time. All 4 players now in the hollow. Melwest holding on to the lead. Everyone had a very strong finish to the machine. No one got by that machine gun at the end, so they're all poised to make a go of it at the end. Melwest is looking like they're running out of game to catch up to Melwest, but the other 3 are all still very close. So it will be exciting to see how they go. As Melwest drops down into the virtual boy neon red world
even
of
the
Golgotha.
webcam shows it.
Yeah.
Like he's totally lit up by the
Yeah.
screen. It's full blown red, and those chain chomps, you have to pay close attention to those. A very mean world. If you touch the blood or the lava that cycles through, you're going to immediately die. Obviously, lots of spikes, lots of jumps, and the new enemies, new mechanics that are going to be introduced shortly. So it is a good ending, like a good full-blown explosion of colors and mechanics at the end. Be careful with those moving blocks, very reminiscent of Super Meat Boy, obviously, and keep on moving. Wow, a tiny misjump, but good reaction overall from all the player. Devil Tifa and Brother Main are in Golgotha as well, and Super Lingard should get there quickly. But yeah, it is looking good for Melwest for sure.
With Melwest in first, Devil Tifa second, Brother Main third, it's looking like our top 3 are all going to shrink together. But unfortunately, with Super Link God in fourth, it means he currently stands to drop a little bit behind. He's now entering Golgotha. He's 8, 6, or 13 levels behind some of the other players. 13, an important number for Melwest because it means 14 is coming up. Golgotha 14 is definitely the hardest part of Golgotha and one of the hardest parts of the run. We'll see how this room goes. Chain chomps and spikes. He just barely gets his jump over the spikes. He went for it and he got it.
Full like explosive strat with the very fast fall. We'll see how well that goes, but he is 5 levels ahead of the competition right now. Obviously, Brother Main and Devil Tifa feeling like good with their overall leaderboard result, but they cannot I don't know how it's going to affect Brother Main, because Brother Main, it is his best game, so maybe being a little bit behind Melwest and Devil Tifa is going to be a little bit soul crushing for them. I don't know.
Close call for Devil Tifa from the chain chomp, but he is looking like he is going to be able to get through that room. Brother Main now coming up on this room. Yeah, it is very important for Brother Main to use this opportunity to keep pace and to maybe recognize that his PB is only just a little bit better. And there is the finish from Melwest.
2014. We can see it on screen because it is an in-game timer. We don't want anything to affect the result, and you have tiny loads in between each screen. So good result. Brother Main is almost done at 20:30. We can see the timer. Devil Tifa is right there as well. This is the final screen for Devil Tifa, and Super Link God is past Golgotha 14. So this is a very close call between all of them, but Melwest is going to rack up some points, and Devil Tifa finishes at 20:52.
So 40 points or so. Brother Main just behind Devil Tifa. Not going to see too much movement on the leaderboard between Brother Main and Devil Tifa, but certainly Melwest is going to pick up some points, and certainly Super Link God is going to lose a few here. He's got just a little bit left to go on Golgotha, and it's probably something that he's not going to be kicking himself over this run, right? He's going to drop a little bit back, but I feel like it's still an incredibly good run, very solid overall. Just ran into some trouble early on in the Exodus, or maybe even earlier than that. So coming up on the end now. And there it is. It's going to be a 21, 36 or so.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We look like Golgotha right now. But we are actually just taking a peek at the players, and they've done fantastic. But Melwest coming back is going to be great for them. So very, very well done. We'll see shortly as soon as it's ready the leaderboards, obviously. But 2014 is about like 24 seconds behind what Brotherman has done on this very specific game in a race, but it makes us lie about saying, you know, they play live. It's harder because it is one of Mel's best performances in the game, so it shows maybe like his focus and his attitude help him at the start. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. And remember, this is, you know, he's had some time to recover, but this is coming off like some pretty annoying stuff that happened in Shovel Knight that led to some deaths and stuff. So to be able to just come back the next day and play, you know, literally your best in the face of that is definitely a sign of a strong contender. I mean, it's hard to be too surprised, though, with some of the times and the consistent performance he's put up throughout the season. Some of the best scores with those 1990s that we saw. And it's looking good for Mel West. Off to a really good start here on game number 1. We were going to have 4 more games left to play as we get going, but the next one is going to be Inertia, and it's like we were talking about before. You know, the players are already firing it up and getting
getting
practice.
ready in practice. It is a very important game, I feel. Super Lingard gained a huge amount of points on that very specific game on the grand finals. It's mainly because of Inertia that I really actually like qualify and won the privilege to play here today. So it is going to be huge, and having him say like this is the game I feel the least confident on is actually pretty worrying. I don't know if it's exaggeration or not. But before any Inertia talk, we'll get a peek at the current state of the leaderboard, obviously.
We can go ahead and take a look. We can see Devil Tifa is at the top and Brother Main behind like we expected, but Mel West is just 2 points back from taking that second place position and 10 points back from first. So 10 points is extremely doable over 4 games. The thing that becomes a little less doable is the 51 points that Super Link God needs over the course of 4 games. We start to talk like 12 points per game. We're talking like a minute or so, depending on the game, per game. It's very hard to put up that kind of consistent performance, but anything can happen.
We've seen like 30 points sweep like on a single game. DKC, especially Inertia as well. Spectrable can bring a lot of hit, but 12 points per game like consistently is going to be pretty difficult for them. Obviously they're going to do their best. Like there's no like letting anything go or lose. Like you want to perform, you want to play as good as you want, especially because you're playing in front of an audience right now and you know you're playing live, and it's very important. You've trained hard for that, so you cannot let anything go. DKC was very important for Super Link God as well, so the upcoming like 2 games block is going to be very, very meaningful for all the players. Devil Tifa mentioned as well DKC as one of their favorite games, so we'll see. Tiny changes on the leaderboard, just an update. It went from 2057 to 2053 due to missplitting at the end from Giorgino, the moderator for the score. The judge, yeah, shame Georgino.
The judge.
They're doing their best, but it's pretty hard to get everything consistent on spot on. So obviously we're trying to get the best and the closest result. What's
totally fine.
But
what's more important, we get closer to first and second.
Exactly.
7 points now separating first and second. And it's very, very exciting to see. I mean, even, third is still 10 points, of course, that is not a lot of points. We could see 10 points. We could see 10 points happen in Inertia alone. But I think as scary and swingy as Inertia can be, I think DKC is something I'm becoming increasingly interested in as I think about it, because Devil Tifa was saying it's his favorite game. Yeah. It's something he wanted to do really well in. Super Link God had one of his best runs ever in DKC, and then it's Mel West with the strongest time in DKC. So there's it means a lot of things to a lot of people, and it will be interesting to see. We can get the clip here as you can take a look at Inertia. It is one of probably my favorite runs to just sit back and watch. It
has been a blast. I was not expecting to enjoy watching Inertia so much. Like you can expect every jump. You can see the progress. The game has been developed with speedrunning in mind. You have a global timer, you have the comparison, you have leaderboards, and it's pretty cool. Like a lot of text. We've studied together like Inertia a little bit before the show started on Friday, just to remember like all the text and all the levels and tiny differences between the style of the player, because they don't go for the same way of doing wall runs and wall jumps, and some ejection are different from player to player, so you might be able to pick up a little bit of what the player actually is with playing just with Inertia alone. So it's going to be pretty cool to see. Melwest, Super Lingard, Brotherman, and Devil Thief are very close in PBs, but Melwest has the lead here. Super Lingard is second actually, so once again it's going to be a very important game for them, but Brotherman is once again behind Super Lingard, and huge difference between Devil Thief and Melwest, which is something we don't see often.
Yeah, these were two names that, like, throughout the season there was a lot of Devil Tifa and Melwest, Melwest and Devil Tifa, and then the July tournament happened, and Brothermain beat out Melwest to be one of the people to qualify, and then Melwest kept focusing on the leaderboards, whereas Devil Tifa didn't, and more people kept rising into the spotlight. So a bunch of other names became I want to say they became household names, but maybe I'm overestimating our reach here at Speed Gaming, but it was really cool to see all those names. We got the countdown going. 2, 1,
and let's go. You could see right at the start, like Devil Thief and Brotherman sit next to each other, and you could see like both of them joking together. So probably a very relaxed. Super Lingard taking a little death here. You will have to keep that in mind for the final score. Except for that, Devil Thief, Brotherman, and Melwest are going. Level 1 and 2 are just straightforward introduction to mechanics, and the level 3 has that nice U-turn shape we are going to see. And that U-turn everybody takes differently, and you have to keep on your momentum going. And Brotherman fails. Level 3 first death is not something too surprising actually.
Yeah, you might think like, oh, it's early on, that's pretty shaky, but it actually does get very hard very quick. One thing I need to point out is the speed at the top. That U per S is probably units per second. It maybe doesn't mean much, but for reference, just running on the ground at full speed is about 650. So the 1650 or 80 that they're traveling at is close to 3 times as fast as regular running speed. And this is because they are sliding and jumping and actually binding both keys to the same button. So they will be doing these ridiculous jumps, and that kind of speed, you just don't have much control at all once you leave the ground. So it is very hard to land anywhere with precision, but these guys are making it look so easy.
We've seen a level 8 that you see a lot of bonk, and Melwest actually lost all his speed intentionally right before an elevator to actually fall into the exit without taking the moving platform, which is obviously faster. Always gets me. I'm a little bit scared with the fall, and actually is intentional. Something shaky also about the game is how the strafing mechanic works, and you can trick the game into thinking you are strafing by actually checking left or right very quickly your screen. So that's something Melwest does a lot. Set up on level 11 to get through the window, and Brothermain and Devil Tifa are doing something a tiny bit different. Brothermain is almost there but did not bonk on the side of the window and actually went back and jumped directly through it. Melwest doing great and looking very, very focused right now. Actually, a lot of jump, and you have to have a lot of control to land on those tiny platform, tiny bars that shine just slightly. And so far it looks like it's going great for all of them.
Yeah, this has been very smooth so far for everyone. Inertia is a pretty cheap game, actually. You could pick it up on Steam and try it for yourself, and I encourage you to do so because all these platforms they're landing on, they seem so much bigger when these guys are playing than when you actually try it yourself. It is very hard to control your landing. Brothermain just barely getting enough height out of a double jump. They do have a double jump. It's kind of hard to see sometimes because the way the double jump works. It's one of those ones that gives you a bigger jump the earlier you use it. So using it very late will sometimes barely give you anything at all, and using it early is will give you a pretty significant boost. But it's very hard to do. The players are really hammering on the jump with the double tap in a lot of situations to get those really big jumps. Have a bit of trouble here with some of these slide gaps. You'll see this happen to pretty much all the players because of the key bindings they're using. They don't have a just slide button. Every slide is also jump. So you'll see them have some fun, I guess, at some of those little holes. But they will get going, and it's totally worth it for the utility of the fast jumps that you get out of it.
Very good level 15 and 16 for Devil Tifa. They pulled ahead and are currently first. Melwest is right behind them, just the same platform. You see like Devil Tifa going through the white door, and then Melwest immediately afterwards. Melwest is doing the shaky camera movements, while Devil Tifa doesn't. That might give them a tiny edge, but not that much. Melwest keeping on going, level 19, but you see those two players are super close. Brown Main tries to catch up, but is like one entire level behind, which is about like 20 seconds. And level 20 before the 4 minutes and 20 seconds mark is actually super good. So all the players are looking at a sub 9 minute time run, which is like fantastic. 4:22 here for Melwest. That's something you want to go for 8 minutes on the dot, which is like huge. We've seen very few of sub 10 at times because it's so easy to start dying, and it's one of those games like the end is 9 where if you start to die, it's pretty easy to die once more or lose a lot of time due to cycles and platforms resetting.
West jumping on some pretty narrow platforms, showing off the zip line. These are pretty straightforward, though sometimes it does get a little weird. And he's trying to get as much speed as he can off of this button here, this bouncer, because he wants to have enough speed to land on this ledge right here. And this is obviously not quite intended and saves only a little bit of time. So he would have probably been better off going with a more consistent approach on that button and then, maybe not landing on the ledge. But Melwest style is to count on his ability to execute on these things and go for it. And honestly, his execution is usually good enough for it. He was shaking like crazy to try to get the extra distance he needed out of that jump, but it wasn't enough to land on that ledge. So a death right at the end of the level, pretty costly.
Yeah, he had a very, very good level 22, so was ahead and failed a couple of jumps here, and I hope it's not the setup being a little bit different. You talked about the desk height and the all other, like, arm angle you could have and your mouse feeling a little bit different, and it felt like it was something like that. I hope it's okay for all of them. Superling God also noted when during the setup that the screen the monitor is using currently is actually better than his own, so has less input lag and got used to the input lag as he usually plays. So he felt on his own setup that the game is a bit more slippery than it actually is and throw him off on some levels. So I hope it's not too bad for all of them. Melo is going for crazy strats here on level 27. That ejection here is crazy good, and very few runners go for that. He's the only one that get it so smooth. But Devil Tifa is already on level 29, while Brother Main is right behind Melwest. Melwest ignoring completely the zipline here and showing off a lot of very cool tech.
Devil Tifa is on 29, and this is a very difficult level. He's through. The hardest part is this coming off this button here. First of all, being able to hit the button going the other direction is very difficult. Melwest had to reset after not getting the angle off the wall. This time he is going to have enough speed to get all the way, not quite up to the top platform, getting pretty bold. Not a lot of players go for that top platform the way he is here. We'll see if he's able to get it second try, as Devil Tifa is shaping up to finish 30. He's on the home stretch here, just this straightaway. Which is, it looks simple from us sitting up here, but even straightaways can be hard to execute on. This really big curve coming off of this button, controlling your height and the curve you take as the plane comes in for landing on this level. He was able to control it second time around, and it's almost done here. The timer's at 7:26, so this is going to be a really good inertia run.
Yeah, this is very, very good. We are at 7:30, and the run they're doing, like the crowd is cheering for them. This is the final level. This is one of the easy one. He got stuck on the wall run, and sadly allowing for some players to catch up with them. Superling God is a little bit behind, but Super Tifa, I almost say I'm all the names start to be blurry while I'm just focusing on the performance. Devil Tifa is almost done. This is the final zipline, and he's going to get a sub 8 minutes. It is a very, very good run. He looks so relieved. And yeah, he's going immediately to let the headset go. Brotherman gets stuck on that jump. Melwest is on 30. He got passed during the level 29 by Brotherman. Brotherman showing all his skill on inertia, but sadly could not catch up with Devil Tifa on that very specific game. He's almost done. Level 32 left to go, and we'll see if they get stuck like Devil Tifa did. Oh, nice jump here. Very tricky.
Yeah, he is almost...
No,
yeah,
same.
He was trying to decide.
Run.
Yeah, he was like, do I go for the wall run or do I just maybe try to skip it there? I don't know. He was looking the other direction, and it didn't quite work out for him, so we'll see if he's able to get the run there. Yes, just a little curve to those walls makes it pretty dodgy, but he is going to get it ziplining into the end. He's going to get a sub 9 run, which is still really good, raising his arms in the air, finishing a minute back from Devil Tifa, but the reaction shows just how good Devil Tifa's run was, and just how as good Brother Main's run was, and how exceptionally good Devil Tifa's run was. Sub 9 is still something to be quite happy with in this competition. Melwest lost a bit of time later on, screaming into the end on the zip line. Is going to be finishing just 20 seconds back.
Super disappointed though.
Oh yeah, he knows that he was further ahead, I think, and dropped back maybe.
He was ahead for almost the entire run, while Super Lingard was behind for the entire run and did not finish so far behind, but looks like super disappointed for sure. That game did not go as well as anybody was expecting.
That's pretty common, I think, for runs of inertia. Devil Tifa, Brother Main also was pretty happy with sub 9, and I think he should be. I think honestly anyone should be happy with sub 10 even
yeah,
in
I
a
do
race.
agree, but considering the setup, they wanted the best they could have.
Yeah, when in this situation, I think people they want to win. The trophy's nice. People remember the guy who won, but I think more so than anything, knowing that all these people are watching, people who are friends, are members of the community, people they care about, they want to put on the best show they can for them. So I think that is what is fueling this disappointment more than anything.
Yeah, for sure.
And then when the scores come in and they realize actually that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think they come around and they change their mind. We can take a look at those scores now. We can see the 200 points for Devil Tifa. That's Solid Black has been the player with kind of a pattern here with the last 4 games.
Yeah.
Has been playing very well and is looking really good. Puts a big gap between first and second place, but second and third remains pretty much just as close as it was before, changing just a little bit there. And Super Link God drops back further again. He's I don't know. He's maybe playing for second or third or something at this point. Certainly with something like DKC Spectre Ball left to play, anything can happen. So don't rule anything out. But his realistically, he's got to be thinking that it might not happen.
This is a surprising finish for Inertia. Devil Tifa getting those 24 points lead. Do remember, Brotherman had a bigger lead at some point in the final, so it's not over for anyone. But to give you some perspective, Devil Tifa is doing super well under pressure, won 2 Ultimate Finals, but also lost 2 by quite a lot, ending up 4th place on UD4 because of he was ahead and one single game crushed him. So you have to remember to stay good, stay focused, and keep consistent. What are you going to do on DKC? Do you go for crazy jump rolls? Do you go for safety? Do you try to walk on those 24 points and milk them as best as you can? It's going to be fairly important to decide right now what you want to do as a runner on that specific game.
Yeah, he's got maybe some decision making to do in speedrunning. I lament that there's not too much room for players to make those kinds of decisions, because I'm as a commentator, I'm fascinated by a player's ability to race in a speedrun rather than just do the optimal speedrun. But certainly Devil Tifa, his ability to make those kinds of decisions is kind of top tier. So I think he's going to be able to come up with something good for DKC, or because he said it was his favorite game, he was really looking forward to it. Maybe he's just going to go for everything, and he's maybe not even too concerned about the points and the score. He's more concerned about some of these other things. This is a big community event. There's a really big emphasis on fun and performance over raw technical skill here. So, with a game that's near and dear to someone's heart, I could see someone maybe playing a little differently.
You can tell like there's like a good vibe going on in this room because people are in the crowd are cheering all of them like for one specific runner and then one other. Everybody went go with Devil Tifa right now, even though they're in the lead. They probably know how meaningful DKC is for them, and then they're going to move back to another game. Actually, Devil Tifa looking more scared and more shaky than usually. Rubbing hands and looking a little bit. I don't know, it's different. Everybody else super focused on the game immediately, already ready, trying some jump rolls. I can see like is it Blackout Basement? No, this is the first few levels. Just having a feel for the game, and it is an important game in speedrunning as well. In general, DKC has a huge community, and it's awesome to learn. There's like a huge wiki. You have a lot of strats, a lot of text. The world record keeps on falling. It has changed like twice or three times during the season of UD6 for the old stages. So if you don't know what DKC is, just take a look. But I'm sure you know that music and those images.
Yeah, this is definitely a classic on the SNES, and for good reason. It had incredible. Gameplay and music and stuff. David Wise, of course, a magician. But it was the graphics, really, I think, that made it stand out. The pre-rendered stuff and animations and stuff that they put together for this game was incredibly eye-catching and made a big splash. But no one would know that it would, grow to become such a technical speedrun, of course, at the time. Generally, any popular game will attract a lot of people, and a lot of people will find a lot of things, but that has been, especially the case for Donkey Kong Country. It turns out that there's quite a lot of tech going on. You can see Diddy rolling through pretty much everything in our clip here. Rolling is a little bit faster, but there's so many things you can do with this roll. Rolling through enemies to pick up extra speed, releasing and repressing the button to extend your roll is such a common thing. They had to invent a name for the technique, so it is the extendo. Certain very difficult extendos have their own name, like the Omega, which is like an incredibly difficult thing that the runners are probably not going to do. They had to make some decisions about what strats they're going to go for in this game. And that ties in, I guess we were talking about earlier, where Devil Tifa maybe would make some decisions about, will I super jump over this level, or will I maybe try to play it out or something? Mm-hmm. There was a lot of decisions to be made in this game, and it seems players have aimed more towards safety.
Yeah, that's true. Two level stands out though: Platform Perils and Tank Top Trouble. Are the two like level that meant the most time gain or lost. So that's at the end of the game. But we are playing DKC. The category is all stages, so we could have tuned it down with using the warps and stuff. But no, this is like the full-blown entire game. You have to beat and to get to the exit of every single game. You can use all the glitches you want, but everybody's raising hand because they're ready. And we can see everybody on the menu getting the one player. And yeah, this is going to be like one of the most important races of the UD6.
We'll count it down to 1, go. And they are off. Rip-roaring menuing happening here to properly select one player for Mel West. Maybe caught a little bit off guard, drops back just a second or so. But dead synced at the bottom. Brother Main and Devil Tifa going to be switching from Donkey to Diddy. You can manually switch, which loses a little more time than just getting hit like we saw from Devil Tifa, but obviously you lose DK, so it is a little more risky. He is going to go ahead and get him back and start rolling through some of these enemies. Level 1 has an extendo on these two platforms coming up in just a little bit. No, wait, they already passed.
This is done.
It's already done.
Something worrying just a tiny bit, something you don't want to do usually in the all stages category. Brother Main picked up the espresso token. So that's something we haven't seen at all. But if you collect 3 tokens, you are going to get stuck in a level for 3 minutes. So you don't want to do that at all. And it shouldn't matter. But you know, those are the tiny details that could like swing anything to I don't know, we'll see. Devil Tifa going fast out of the barrels through level 2. Obviously the players are going to take all the secret barrels and any warp inside the level that gets you to keep on moving as fast as possible. As long as you reach the exit, the category is validated. Mel West, Brother Main, Devil Tifa and Spelling God all starting level 3 right now.
You take a look at that world map there that just disappeared from Mel West in the top left. You'll be seeing that again in a little bit. It has some unique properties that will come into play later. Right now we're rolling through some of these, I don't know who left all these tires in this cave. I don't know. It's sort of, I guess it's like DK's Island, so he's got stuff around to play with, I guess. But the tires do let you bounce off of them. They're a little finicky to use, and there's also some tricks involving the tires, rolling off of a tire. It has a window that is a little bit lenient, but in order to do it consistently can be pretty tricky. And now we get into one of these swimming levels. These are, relatively tame. They're slower paced. Everyone chill in. We actually got the blue lights going in the theater. Maybe it's getting picked up on that webcam, but incredibly ambient. But in terms of speedrunning, there is a lot to be done to make little optimizations all over the place.
It's lying so much. Like, it feels, even the music is super chill. Like, we did most of the commentary during UD6 without even listening to being able to listen to the soundtrack, and here we have it. And I'm like, the chills and all, like, I love the music for DKC. And it's so chill, and actually it's so hard. Like, look, Devil Tifa got stuck on a corner, and that's going to happen so much. And that's why for the speedrunning, the water levels are deemed the most technical. You can see like tiny hiccups here and there, but On Guard helps a lot for sure. But look, Mel West and Devil Tifa, even if Mel West had a tiny delayed start, they're both synced up. Brother Main and Spilling got a little bit behind. Brother Main fell to the 4th place here, but it's so close that it doesn't even matter. Mel West in 1st place currently, going full blast, and there's like some very important skips upcoming, so you can lose a lot of time. Every player is going to be careful picking the checkpoint. Mel is getting stuck here a little bit. You do want to go for an extendo or not, but you want to be sure on what you're doing. Mel is taking his time because here you want to jump off that Kremlin, and they did not do it. They're going to get stuck and die intentionally, like Superling God is doing, while Devil Tifa got the skip, and Brother Main did get it as well, I think. So this is actually like a lot of time lost for both Mel West and Spelling God, and they're currently in 3rd and 4th, so they don't want that to happen too much. Mel West got it, and in the end, and Spelling God ignore the checkpoints again, and that's pretty worrisome as well. They got to the Gremlin, they got the jump, they got the barrels, and here they go. So good decision in the end not to get the checkpoint the 2nd time, but the 1st time would have saved a lot of time. Devil Tifa starts World 2 here, and
it goes by fast.
Yeah, it goes, like, it's a very, very short world. You'll see lots of skips and lots of things happening, but you do have to complete the level. We've seen an espresso token here. I just have to keep that in mind because I'm so worried now for Brother Main. And next up is, after Winky's walkway, is the Minecart Carnage level, a terrifying one for me as a kid. But see, there is like a secret barrel here, and boom, here you go. As long as you do remember to jump above that Kremlin, you're good to go.
Yeah, there it is. Final Kremlin for Devil Tifa holding on to the lead. We're seeing Mel West rolling through some enemies. I know Devil Tifa stopped short on one of those rolls, so he's showing signs of just a little bit of hesitation, perhaps, in terms of playing for safety. That's definitely been the trend for Donkey Kong Country. Devil Tifa's the next into another underground level with a lot of tires. In these underground sections, these little walkways, you can kind of jump through them. Normally, you're kind of forced to crouch and go at a pretty slower pace, so you can see it there. The jumping is, it's not too hard to do, really. You just kind of get up next to it and start jumping, and eventually you'll get in there. You can also make sure that it happens with a roll, but you will lose a bit of time rolling against the wall. You can also lose or save time going for extra cycles, skipping cycles on these bees. It is incredibly difficult to really skip a whole cycle on these bees, so I don't think we'll see any of the players going for some of the really aggressive stuff. Devil Tifa already done with this stage, mostly done with the second world because we're going to go to Stop and Go Station. And I think we choose Go, actually.
Yeah, it's not Stop at all. Like, you go directly to the left, and you'll be good to go. Tiny secret, lots of those. Oh, Devil Tifa take a weird hit here. The evil Kremlin do not care for the light, and so they stop moving. But if you get hit stuck in the dark, you're going to lose Diddy. And losing Diddy, usually everybody in chat will know exactly what that means. It's so bad that Devil Tifa is going to pick up Diddy immediately, going back to Stop and Go Station, and then leave the level to go to Millstone Mayhem. One other very, very significant level, because we are going to see our first infinite jumping.
Yeah, DK leaves the screen there for Devil Tifa off the top, and that sets the correct state for DK by getting hit, jumping off of the enemy. He's not going to be able to get it. He needed to land on top of that enemy. You need to have a button held down in order for that glitch to work, and you can't jump again with that button held. Melwest gets it, and he's in the barrel. There is a hidden barrel off the top of the screen that will warp you to the end of the level. So Melwest is going to be our leader. Brother Main, for a second, was in the lead, but he also had trouble with this stage.
He did not get the infinite jump, so went for clearing the level normally, and then got hit. Even doing that, that's so bad. Devil Tifa is resetting the infinite jump, losing the Donkey Kong the correct way, and then getting it back, switching, and then you have to land on the Kremlin and get the infinite jump. Here we go. But Melwest took the lead, and they need that. They're going to feel pretty great about finishing World 2 in first place.
Brother Main with the super jump. He loses DK and does not get the infinite jump state. I'm pretty sure DK just ran off to the left. So yeah, I don't know if he's a little shaken. He should have known that was not going to work. So he is going to die here and going to have to reset. Melwest in the lead, going for one of those early barrels that appears in the top right. But Devil Tifa is the focus for this boss fight. And honestly, it's maybe not worthy. The boss fights in DKC are pretty straightforward. You jump on the thing every now and then, basically, and not too much threat of taking a hit. Brother Main is still back at Millstone Mayhem. We're going to take a look and wish him all the best in executing this glitch. He's got the correct state now, and this is something he's done plenty of times before in races, and this bit of craziness happening, but he does get there. Misses it on the way up, but he gets it on the way down, and the relief that he got that is visible on his face.
I love the start of World 3. You have Voltor Culture. You have to play as Donkey Kong fast enough so you get a hidden barrel. Melwest got that perfectly. Then you get Treetop Town. That is a super short and has a nice secret to it. And then you get to this infinite jump. If you land on the Kremlin without jumping on top of it, so you have to wait for the Kremlin to jump under your feet, it's going to launch you, and you're not going to grab the ropes, and you are going to be able to just keep on moving. So it is a pretty cool trick on Forest Frenzy, and it is one of the most worst infinite jump because it goes so slow. This is one of the few auto scroller in DKC, and being able to just ignore it entirely saves so much time. You cannot even miss it. It's mandatory.
The DKC series doesn't hold back on auto scrollers. They're never the easiest walk in the park levels. So being able to skip over it there is an advantage. This is an example of a super jump that is the fastest way to beat the level. Later on, the players will be using the same technique to beat levels that could be done faster, but the execution required to be faster is quite a bit different. Like this level we're seeing here, Melwest is picking up Espresso. Will be making the first appearance here. Definitely a top-tier video game bird, as we've determined in the past. And this is a level where you could be perfect on execution and save half a second or a second, something like that, over the Espresso route, but it is so much harder. So we are probably going to be grabbing Espresso here. And not that this is easy. Espresso is very big and very fast, so you have very little time to react to what is appearing on screen. Very memorization-based. So far, it's going well for Melwest. It's also going well for Devil Tifa. Super Link God has boarded the bird. All the players just off and running. And Brother Main fell behind a little bit, but he did get that super jump okay, so he is on his way to join them in just a moment. Melwest done with the stage now, and we're going to see something pretty interesting here.
Yeah, they did not go to Oriental Gang. They're all going back to Funky Kong and going back to World 1 actually, and super cool trick here with the frame perfect phase button input, you will find a tiny warp that sends you at the end of Orangutan Gang. So it is actually, the category is to clear all levels, but nobody specified where you have to enter them. So it's a very cool trick, and even going back to the map to Funky Kong to World 1 and then warping is way faster than beating the level. Plus the Orangutan are pretty mean, throwing barrels at you. We'll see those in the Golda Glacier, and they're going to be pretty bad. So you as much as you can ignore them, you're pretty happy. And second level, water level, Wizengard, once again, favorite fish in the game, and it's going to buck through the enemies and make you go invulnerable for a couple of frames. It's going to be pretty cool to go through the croctopuses, and also do we say croctopi maybe?
Croctopodi? I'm not sure. But I am sure that everyone really wants to keep On Guard. There are some situations where you take a hit and On Guard takes off swimming, and very often it's set up, the levels work out that On Guard will hit a wall, turn around, and come back, and it won't be too much of a problem. But we have seen one unfortunate player, at least once, have On Guard get so far away he disappeared, despawned, and they had to make do without him, which is so much harder and so different compared to playing a level with him. Devil Tifa loses him right at the end. That's pretty common. There are a lot of final sequences where players are pretty willing to let him go. Melwest is on the boss fight, the Bumblebee Rumble. Little bit of trivia with these barrels. I think it's the left one will save you 1 frame of lag if you pick up that one instead of the other one. So if you get your choice, go with left, unless I got them reversed, of course. Then don't listen to me. Either way, very, very incredibly minor time difference, and really not as much of a concern as this level that Melwest is getting into here. World 4 really kicks things up with the snow. The Gorilla Glacier, I think, is the name of the world.
Yeah, it is, and it has a lot of text, and that's where like the difficulty steps up just a little bit. Way more like pits where you can fall into. Lots of those barrels make an appearance. You have some nice text here, the bouncing, very nice from West. Everybody will cheer for that in the crowd. I'm sure it's actually very difficult, and the weather worsen throughout this level, so you have way less visual cues. You have to pay close attention to those moving barrels. Obviously, be careful with where you fall. There is a hidden barrel here, very scary all the time, but it does help you like beat the level in one go, in one sweep, and that's pretty cool. Like they know, like the runners know very well the game, obviously, and being able to go through Snow Barrel Blast as fast is pretty cool. Sleep's Night Ride is the second level, and in that ice cavern, it's going to go pretty fast for them.
They're going to be bouncing off this crumbling to get up to an area, and Melwest is actually going to be jumping off the rope and re-grabbing it off screen to get just a little bit of extra height to get over to a warp barrel on the left side. There is a much easier way to do that because jumping on these ropes is fairly difficult, especially if you're trying to jump on a rope off screen. There's some extra inputs required to make that happen without the camera sort of betraying you and locking you down. So you can just switch to Donkey Kong, and he jumps a little bit higher, and he'll get in there. And it is certainly much easier, but it turns out it takes so much time to switch characters in this game that it is a little slower than doing that little song and dance. Melwest going backwards in this level to pick up Espresso, and this is a very important bird for this level.
What happened? He looks like surprised. They got like a weird left back and forth with Espresso to dodge the blue Kremlin, so they jumped a little bit too early of that platform, and
there we go.
It should be like they have a ton of space to make that happen, so that explains their surprise. It's going to allow a little bit Devil Tifa to catch up. Super Lingard is still in first level Snow Barrel Blast of Golda Glacier here, and Melwest to keep on trailing, but Espresso is pretty cool to have in this level, but it's so easy just to forget about a jump that you might end up dying and killing yourself just because of how tight those jumps are. Like, see those orangutans, and especially the last one. This one can trip you up pretty bad if you are too short on your jumps.
Melwest had no problem second time around on that level, dropping back just a little bit. Devil Tifa right there behind him, Brother Main. and Super Link God as well. Super Link God done with the slip slide ride. Warp Barrel. Melwest is going to be the first player into Croctopus Chase, but I guarantee he is not going to be done with this level before he is joined by everyone else. It is an incredibly long level. There is no on guard because you would probably just take out the Croctopus and then the whole level kind of falls apart. So there's no on guard. So large focus on the very precise swimming mechanics. Catching or not catching the corners, but getting the little boosts off of the corners. And it's really your main focus for this level. And honestly, it's such a different way of thinking about what you're doing in this game that it can be hard to switch gears coming into and out of a water level like this. But this level's so long that I feel like players really start to get into the groove, moving really well there through the S curves back and forth. Melwest, very nice job.
Curves. Yeah, this is that checkpoint is usually said to be the halfway through the run, so you can self high five and be like, yeah, I've beaten half of DKC, let's keep on going, and you can be pretty happy with yourself. So 17 minutes in the race, Melwest looking confident, Double Tifa and Spilling God as well in Croctopus Chase, but obviously like far behind. This is a very long level, and Brother Main in Ice Age Alley on Espresso is doing his best to catch up with the rest of the runners, but they are taking it slow. I hope it's as smooth as they want the game to be, like there's nothing tripping them up. And the second half, like the upcoming levels, especially World 6, is where all the action is going, so there's plenty of time to catch up with the rest. You have a lot of techs involved in every single level, and maybe even we'll see some infinite jump rolls. Who knows?
I heard from Brother Main that there may have been an agreement among the players to at least try to go for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a tough pact to make with competitors.
Well,
but
you got to trust them, right?
Yeah,
there's
an
opportunity for a dramatic betrayal, perhaps.
Who's Judas?
They'll look over later at the VOD and be like, oh, you didn't go for it. But for now, Melwest is still our leader. He is done with Croctopus Chase, and he loses Diddy.
Oh, no.
In this dark level. You Torchlight Trouble.
You don't want to play with Diddy.
With
Donkey. There's no way.
He's big and slow and dumb. He's just... everything. I mean, he's honestly not that much slower or doesn't jump that much lower, but it feels enough. We got
Brotherman died in Croctopus Chase, so they're back at the beginning with only Donkey. That's a big time loss, actually, getting back Diddy, but this is a 2 minutes lead for Melwest compared to Brotherman right now. Double Tifa is going to catch up with Melwest in Torchlight Trouble, where it's the only opportunity to see Squawks or Parrot, but we are going to totally ignore most of the animal companion. We've seen Ramby once, and it was by mistake in the entire UD.
Yeah, he's bless his heart. He's an adorable little rhino, but he controls exactly like a rhino should, I suppose, and that means it's not quite fun. Melwest getting the DK barrel at the start of Rope Bridge Rumble. This is a pretty tough level with these tires. There's opportunity to do some rolls off of these tires rather than these big jumps, and we saw one there. The window for rolling off of a tire is a couple frames. It's not too bad, but you're definitely taking a risk with every single one that you do. Devil Tifa joining him now in this stage. We'll see how both players choose to approach some of these tires. We saw Melwest doing something a little weird, doing some left-right, temporarily despawning a tire later on in the level, and we weren't quite sure what was even the goal there.
Here.
Right.
I've seen player during a grand session actually despawning the entire platform and being like, whoop, I die, I guess. And you have to pay close attention because the SNES can only display so many sprites. So it's pretty easy to get left, right, and make a tire or an entire platform disappear. Naughty, the second take, and it's not going to be so much different. The boss fights are not the main focus in DKC. While Super Lingard and Devil Tifa are both in... Devil Tifa is actually already done, and Super Lingard is halfway through the level here, so they should be moving, and Brother Main is the only one left behind.
Yeah, that death cost him. He was already behind. He's further behind now. And it's... I don't know if it's better or worse to fall that far behind in a level like Croctopus Chase, where it is, it's a little bit slower paced, but maybe it's long and you're just stuck there frustrated thinking about what happened. I'm not sure. But either way, he is done now. He's going to be moving on to Torchlight Trouble. Boss fight's done now for some of the other players. Mel West is into Oil Drum Alley.
Yeah.
And he is already into the air with a super jump. This is a super jump that is a safety option here. It is a faster level to complete without it, but it is a difficult level. Every level from here on is pretty much a difficult level. So the safety, players have opted for a lot of these super jumps in these situations. I could maybe see someone going for this level. But in this live situation where things are a little shaky, really not surprised to see super jumps here.
We actually have seen Mel West go for that very specific level at the start of World 5, who is like doing the level normally, but look at the insane stuff you actually have to do. You should be either very confident or maybe like just doing it for show, and if you want if you want a good level to beat, just do Trick Track Track, because in 10 seconds it's going to be over. And just go for the infinite jump for safety for the other levels. I guess it will make a lot of sense.
Brother Main with a bit of trouble there, losing. Diddy went back for the DK barrel and got the switch, so he is back on track, thankfully. And he does get a checkpoint barrel should he need that. Hopefully he doesn't. Mel West is into, I think, Elevator Antics is the level. This was another opportunity for a super jump that players didn't do at the start of the season, and then as players started to realize safety was maybe more of a priority in this level, they started doing it
for it.
And then they started to get a little more bold, a little more comfortable, and they started skipping it again. So we are going to see some platforming here from Mel West on these elevators. They are coming in from off screen most of the time, so there's a bit of faith involved, and it is. Yeah, it's pretty nerve-wracking. So we'll see how this goes. Jumping off a platform, it's off the bottom of the screen, no problems.
The Ultify is not doing the infinite jump either. Apparently, Sperling got set it up because they lost. Oh, and nope, did not go for it. Weird. They lost the DK on the correct way and then reverted, changed their mind. I don't know. West is still moving. Maybe there is a gentleman agreement also on Elevator Antics not to do the infinite jump. I don't know. Brother Main is now 3 levels behind Mel West. Mel West entering Poison Pound, probably one of the most scary water levels in the entire game.
Yeah, there's a lot of enemies. The mincers in particular, really they're round, and I don't think the hitboxes are round, so it can be very hard to judge exactly where they are in space, and you get the invincibility frames when you kind of buck through them. But it is tricky to do, and just the number of enemies and everything makes this a very difficult level. This was the level where we saw someone lose on guard, unfortunately, but looks like so far no problems for Mel West and Devil Tifa, who is also joining him now in Poison Pond. Super Link God also very close between
Nice.
Super Link God and Devil Tifa still. And Brother Main is actually playing through some of Oil Drum Alley here, so we are going to see some of what this level looks like. He does get through. That orangutan is rolling off of these oil barrels. The edges of the flames are actually not active, so he was able to do that, and he is through. Really nice job, maybe trying to play from behind to make up some extra time.
Yeah, that was actually pretty worth it, I guess. If you don't die and you keep on moving, clearly the practice for it, and it just worked. Take a peek at Mel West's screen because something crazy is going to happen. So they did not technically jump into the minecart and then took a hit and press the jump button, and the game then doesn't know exactly what stage are you in. So until you land, the game doesn't give you like in the air status. So you can actually like cartwheel and jump through the air, but you cannot like land, you cannot walk, you cannot run. So you have to keep on cartwheeling and jumping until you will actually eventually have to land in a minecart, or the game would not let you finish the level.
It's coming up in just a little bit for Mel West. Devil Tifa now getting ready to set up the glitch. Really not too difficult. Just walk into the cart, get hit. The problem comes from sort of transitioning out of that. We have seen some players run into a bit of trouble cartwheeling through the air. You know, there's still enemies and stuff to avoid, and you really drop like a stone in this game. So when you're, you know, they're making it look like they can just go forever, but if they let the Diddy fall after one of these cartwheels for just a little bit, you'll see that the acceleration picks up quite a bit and will drop quite sharply. Melwest did not drop in this level, has rolled on to the end of Minecart Madness, and is moving on to Blackout Basement. This is maybe one of the hardest runs, the hardest run perhaps, level in the run, and we'll see how he approaches it, because you can pretty much only see these bananas once these lights go out. The platforms, even the enemies, like I feel like you should at least be able to see the enemies, but it's just so cruel. There are some ropes that you need to grab on the ceiling.
Is the most cruel thing, yeah. And this is one of those levels where you want to go super fast. It gets very, very harder, much harder, because like if you were to wait for the light, it's not like that difficult of platforming. You have like tiny moving platforms and stuff, like the enemies, you know, you can deal. You have those falling platform there, but the problem is like keeping on moving, like keeping on cartwheeling, keeping on jumping, even if there's no light, and you have those orange angles throwing barrels at you. And here Melwest is already done. Very, very well done. Devil Tifa is right behind them, and as I look at their screen, they actually die and have to start all over again. Maybe they got the checkpoint, but no, they were right before the checkpoint, so that means they are currently one entire level behind Melwest, one entire Blackout Basement, which is about a minute long.
Also trailing Super Link God at this point, so in third place currently in this game. We had some audience applause just for finishing that level, and Devil Tifa showing us why, because it is that hard, very easy to die. It is very easy for the boss to die for the end of this world. It's a boss Dumb Drum, I think is the name of the level. I don't know if that's actually his name. It should be. If it isn't, it is. He pretty much kills himself here. You just got to wait him out with these enemies, and everything will be fine. So Blackout Basement really should be the thing to keep your eyes on the right side of the screen for these players, Devil Tifa and Super Link God. Brother Main is also cartwheeling through Minecart Madness, and Devil Tifa is going to finish Blackout Basement just there. Super Link God is, barely made it onto that platform, jumping a little early off of one of those platforms, and Melwest getting into one of these really important levels that we were talking about, Tanked Up Trouble.
Yeah, it is. So the core mechanic is that moving platform you have to refill with those fuel tanks, and they're like left everywhere. But it is very, very significant if you go for that infinite jump roll. So we'll see. We talked about it a lot, and we've seen some different texts. We've seen one jump roll in the entire UD. It was by Magic K, and it was on the other level, Platform Pearls, where it's actually significantly harder to set up. So you can go for the setup and Tanked Up Trouble with the Vultures, and they are coming up next right here, and it is like a frame perfect input, and it's pretty hard to do. I don't even recognize like if the setup was correct for them here. So it saves a lot of time, because you are just like rolling through the entire level automatically, and it saves a lot of time, but actually getting the frame perfect presses you need is like insanely hard.
Yeah, this is kind of our last chance to see it in the UD6 season. So there goes one of 4 tries. He definitely tried to get the setup, though. The setup has a setup. It's like none of it is really what I would even define a real setup in a speed run. Like in my mind, it's always one of those Ocarina of Time things where like as long as you do the same thing, it's going to put you in the same place. But whereas there's no wall to line up yourself against or set distances when you cartwheel or anything like that to use. It is all very imprecise, and so it is very difficult to do. Devil Tifa is going to get a chance to execute on it in just a little bit, perhaps. Right rolling ahead, has the bird, and he's gonna. He went for it.
He went for it. That setup looked correct, like going back and forth, and he actually rolled into the vulture, but probably pressed a jump a little bit too late, and he actually went for it. I'm pretty glad. It's been a while since we've seen that, so that's pretty cool to see the agreement coming to fruition. Spilling God is not going for it, apparently.
No.
And Brother Main is still like, I feel the Dumb Drum boss should be like called Dumby, like Naughty Necky, and that would be his name. At Melwest is already through. We have a nice easy to set up infinite jump here. You just have to keep on going, and you'll lose the correct way, and then you grab the DD barrel, and then you just let go here on the Ramby crate, and you'll get your infinite jump. Pretty cool by Mel West. And I'm always sad there's no Ramby in the speedrun, but it totally makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of all you'll see of him is his box scroll off screen before he even gets a chance to appear, as you use him literally as a stepping stone to launch yourself into the air. Thanks so much, Ramby, for coming out. But that'll do. Mel West still super jumping over this level, tanked up trouble for all the other players. Brother Main is in the same level as these other players, but it is one of the longest levels.
Easy going for the infinite jump. That's my question right now. He doesn't have Donkey. He might go for it. It should be right next up with those vultures here.
Yeah.
He goes for the setup, going left and right, killing the first vulture and letting go. It was too late, I think. The setup was not perfect, but went for it. They tried. Their best. They're going to get Donkey back here, while Mel West is super jumping above Misty Mines.
We'll see. Devil Tifa is super jumping. Super Link God is also into the air.
Thanks,
Away
Ramby.
he goes. More super jumps from Mel West through Misty Mine. This is a level that you can see all these enemies on screen here. These are targets to roll through and pick up a ton of speed. So it is a level that can be done significantly faster. But the strats required to get those rolls and extendo rolls off of all these enemies are actually extremely different. Right, you get
all those notices everywhere, but it's it's so tight. The extendos you have to press and let go of the roll button many times in a row. It's not easy at all.
So the players have opted to go for this really safe super jump strat here. It is, I think it's not the end of the super jumps, I think. Perhaps we're pretty close to the end of the run, though, with Manic Mincer's done, Super Link God moving into Misty Mine with Mel West and Devil Tifa. We got Loopy Lights, which is another dark level, and it is one that they'll mostly be navigating in the dark, and it is pretty tricky. We got the Claptrap there. These are the worst. These enemies are,
they will jump
invulnerable with they come straight at you, but then you think, okay, I'll jump over it, and then they're like, yeah, well now they jump with you. It's basically the worst addition they could have made to these guys, and it's genuinely hard to deal with sometimes.
Yeah, even their shape doesn't really make sense. You'd feel like their hitbox would be right on their teeth, but it's actually like a long body behind a long set of teeth. It's pretty weird, but so that's probably what startled Mel West just before. Now he makes a good job of navigating through the level. There's you know when an enemy is scary when a runner is actually waiting for the enemy to come by and fall before actually going. So that says a lot.
Just about done with Loopy Lights most of the way through, and Devil Tifa joining him now in Loopy Lights, so is 3/4 perhaps of a level behind Mel West. He had a bit more of a lead at one point, but has lost that lead by just a little bit. Now he is at the end of this level. We've got one last very scary level left, with one last opportunity perhaps for one of those jump rolls. This one is much harder and much riskier, so I don't know if we'll see anyone go for it, but even if they're not, there's enough risk involved with this level anyway.
Yeah. Do you remember in the grand finals? I think Mel West actually saved in Golia Glacier.
Yeah.
They did not do that currently, in the Ultimate Finals, which I understand. But it shows that the game can be a scary one, and you don't want to die too much. They have a lot of extra lives, but every single level can kill you, especially platform pearls. So those tiny platforms are going to move according lead to the arrows that are drawn on it, and you will eventually try to skip some, but the main problems are the Kremlin. Some of them you are not going to be able to kill with DD except with a roll, but you don't have much space to roll onto those platforms, so you have to use the barrels and all the elements the game gives you, but that slows you down, so you have to be pretty precise and know exactly what you're supposed to do.
Coming up on the end of the level here. A couple of these barrel throws on the crushes are one of the scariest parts, I think, of this level. And opportunity there to just roll to the right and progress, but is going to play it safe and ride the platform over to the left. Everyone gets a little shaky at the end of this level, and understandably so. So that is going to be the end of Platform Perils. He successfully navigated that. There is one pretty boring boss fight, refight against Neki. A couple more hits. The only source of RNG in the run, actually, where Neki appears. Left and right doesn't make too much of a difference, but high and low can make a little bit of a difference. But really, Mel West is not thinking about this fight. He's thinking about Gangplank Galleon.
Yeah, right now you just have to dodge the projectiles and get... Ooh, did not get the hit there. Whoa.
Maybe he should have been thinking about this level. He actually dies.
We've never seen like a runner
Neki.
die on Neki's Revenge. Like you have just to dodge and get the correct height. He got like pretty high spawn, so that was probably bad. But I don't understand, to be honest, why Didi did not hit on that final jump. And then like it was off cycle, so I understand why you would die immediately. Once you get Donkey, you're dead anyway. Devil Tifa and Mel West, I don't know who's in the lead. You have to count the projectiles pretty much. But yeah, Mel West gets the final blow first, and then Devil Tifa. This is actually very, very close. And sadly, like Mel West got the entire run in first place and is now in troubles entering Gangplank Galleon.
That was points that he needed, right? We're running out of games to play, and as close as he is to Devil Tifa in the leaderboard,
he's actually dying because they lost Didi immediately, and now Devil Tifa is completely like 3 hits on King K. Rool in the lead. This is like, wow, what?
It's feeling a little shaky here. It's not the first time we've seen some bad things happen on Gangplank Galleon, and it's definitely not so bad to happen right at the start like it just did. I would have been very interesting if Mel West had decided to try to play it out with just Donkey right at the start of the fight. Would have been a declaration of, you know, I'm not even going to give up 5 or 6 seconds here. I can do this whole thing perfectly with Donkey. But he is, with an eye towards safety. Why put so much at risk for a couple seconds when there are still 2 more games to pick up those points? So for now, Devil Tifa first, Mel West second.
Getting hit?
Super Link God in third. We'll see if Devil Tifa can hold on here.
Devil Tifa cannot die. Like they cannot. I don't know. I would be like so surprised. They're playing it super safe. They have probably just one final hit before the credits. And Mel West losing his lead, but Devil Tifa only DK. You're dead when you have DK and Devil Tifa dies. What? What is happening to those players? Like, we are 38 minutes in. Those players have PBs of less than 37 minutes. And
man,
maybe Super Lingard is actually in the lead. Brother Man he's catching up with them right now. And Mel West getting the final blow on King K. Rool. The credits are going to appear, and this is it. Mel West winning with the credits.
Coding Claptrap.
Claptrap?
Is that
the name?
What language? What language is that from? With Claptrap?
I don't know. Characters Crush. Cool. And
wait.
The commander is King K. Rool. What's happening
there? King K. Rool. Wait a minute.
That's
the final boss. What's going on here? Oh my God! Oh my God! He's alive. Up. 3 more hits required for Mel West. You know we weren't going to do it again.
Yeah,
we had to. We absolutely had to. King K. Rool doing his ridiculous little hops here. Second hit now for Mel West. We got one final hit here.
One final blow. You usually jump with King K. Rool, but he's not even going for it. Like, he doesn't want to die. We've seen Berman, though, die and take the final hit right before it, but Mel West doesn't do that. And, like, they lost. They died on Neki and died on King K. Rool, but finally pulled it ahead and finishes in first place. Congrats to Mel West. They needed the point. They maybe are not going to get so many as they expected. Super Lingard, I don't even know who's in the lead right now because, Devil Tifa gets the fake credits in sync with Brother Main actually, and those 2 runners are... it's not perfectly lining up on the screen.
I see what you were going for. That would have been pretty fun to see. The credits go from one screen to the other. We can watch Super Lingard finishing second.
Yeah.
Very, very surprising end here. Deaths for both of the leaders, and Brother Main, who had dropped back quite a bit, is right up there with everyone else. And hopefully all the madness is over. Hopefully we get everyone finishing this out nicely. Devil Tifa showing up. I was hoping someone would do it.
It's mandatory. Like some runners in chat were actually like, we had Tompa and some other runners on the Speed Gaming chat last 2 weeks ago, and some runners were like, nope, the run is not validated if you don't jump with King K. Rool. Devil Tifa finishing just seconds before Brother Main, and everybody's pretty happy to be done with DKC because that was an insane run.
Yeah, that is. So these are good. These are good times, to be sure.
Yeah.
And the fact that we saw so much Gangplank Galleon there at the end when we were the runners were starting to spread out a little bit, and then Mel West had this mistake and that mistake, and that got a little crazy towards the end. It is probably good that it got crazy before our scheduled break here. They're going to be able to, shake it off and come back strong for the remaining 2 games. But that was a treat. I wanted to point out, I think, a little off on the jumping by Devil Tifa mimicking King K. Rool. I give it a 7 out of 10 at best. But unfortunately, that doesn't factor into the points.
Next up, UD with actually judges and public scoring. Like, well, that was pretty stylish. You died, but you tried a lot of stuff. No, actually, it's purely time, obviously, in speedrun. So it's going to be a good one. So the judges, Georgino and Kushas, are going through the times. Thanks a lot to all the staff that makes all these events happening, obviously, and. We'll have the leaderboard shortly, and I wonder, like, Devil Tifa was ahead and just ahead of Brother Main, but Brother Main actually probably fell behind Mel West. They were so close together, 3 points between each other. So quick peek at the crowd watching, like, consciously those races on the on the gigantic screen. Everybody saying hello and. Yeah, we are going right after the seeing where we at with the leaderboard, taking a quick break. So about 20 minutes before we start again, and it's going to be 2 games left to see who's the ultimate winner of UD6.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's 2 pretty scary games. There's some things to be concerned about in past examples, and are plenty for these 2 games, and it's going to be pretty great.
So we'll take a peek at the leaderboard. Devil Tifa, Brother Main, Mel West, and Super Lingard with the results. And I think there's something
that is not a 10-minute finish.
World record by 21 minutes. This is insane. No, here we go. It's more up to it. So 3 seconds actually between Devil Tifa and Brother Main. And the lead, Mel West lead, was not enough to catch up with Brother Main, but they totally caught up, like their bad inertia result.
Yeah, 3 points separating second from third. A very, very good, 25 points, Devil Tifa ahead of the other 2. That is, 10 or 12-ish points for both games. And that is, it's doable, but it's looking like we might see the three-peat, I guess this is now. Well, I guess that's 3 in a row, isn't it? But the third time, perhaps. The hatch. There we go. A very Canadian term. I approve. For Devil Tifa, perhaps that's sort of the story that's developing. But certainly, Brother Main and Mel West are right there, and they're going to be doing their best to rewrite that story, cross out a couple names, maybe write something else in. Super Link God picked up some points there a little bit over some of these other players. Not a whole lot, not the massive amount that they really needed to make a go of it, but we've seen 60-point swings in Spectre Ball in competition, so like he's not out of it.
The Spectre Ball is going to be very important. So quick break just to freshen a little bit and be right back. Be sure to be there for Shorebone Studios, Spectre Ball, and then Aria of Sorrow. And Aria of Sorrow probably the best speedrun I've discovered in 2018. Very specific tricks, very cool, very long, very technical, and probably going to put the final word to that UD6. It's going to be insane. See you soon.